Hi, good morning everyone. This is Vineet Pandey once again in front of you. This is the beautiful Arabian Ocean in front of me, and this is Little Vegator in Goa. Friends, thank you very much for a lot of wishes on my birthday. And here early morning, I am here for a video lecture on literary theories. Yes, literary theories. Imagine when you study for UGC NET English literature, you face the biggest problem that how to study literary theory, what is literary theory, from where to start, from where to end. See, this is just an introductory lecture where I'll tell you about how to study for the beautiful syllabus of UGC NET. Yeah, I'm using the word beautiful because once you study this, you become an intellectual and you have a lot of knowledge about everything. You earn, you learn, and you make a world, a very different world. Friends, before I start my literary theory video, I'll request my cameraman Abdul to show you a beautiful view and make you very excited. So guys, I'm back. See, what you have to do when you start studying literary theory. First of all, you have to understand criticism. Suppose you start literary theory studying very directly and you have no idea of literary criticism, you won't be able to grasp these things. So when you study literary criticism starting with Plato, then Aristotle, Longinus, Horace, Dryden, Pope, Arnold, T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot becomes the link where you start studying literary theories and you start understanding it. The first literary theory that comes in the mind is new criticism. See, new criticism and formalism, they are quite similar theories and they are simply related also. New criticism was the development, the first movement in 1920s where they simply said that we will study the text without any reference of any writer. For the first time, they excluded all the extraneous affairs which are not related to the text. For example, they said the text itself is an autonomous text and does not need any kind of intervention in between. Now what happens? Why this is the need? I'm talking about new criticism. In 1920s movement in England called New Critics, and in America by J.C. Ransom called New Criticism. They simply said that when you read a text or we go to buy a text, we are biased by the name of the writer, we get biased by extraneous affairs like the age, the mindset of the writer, the gender of the writer, and we study the book under that light. You have to avoid that. To support these things, they gave certain theories. Here we have a lot of theories like hearsay of paraphrasing, that's an important theory you have to remember. Then we simply have to remember that Beardsley and Wimsatt, they came with the book Verbal Icon. And here they talked about a lot of fallacies. You must have studied that affective fallacy, intentional fallacy. So when you study new criticism, don't forget reading René Wellek, T.S. Eliot, David H.S. He is also a critic. Then we have R.P. Warren, R.P. Blackmore, Wimsatt, Beardsley, and few terminologies. Once you study new criticism, you'll go to the further development of formalism. Formalist critics, they were simply studying the form of the structure. Here we have I.A. Richards and few others like Ivor Turnave and others. They were simply studying the form of the structure, form of the text. Like this is how, when you solve a paper in your exam, sometimes they give you a text, unseen passage, and you are supposed to find out the metaphors, the similes, the synonyms, or the alliteration, which is called the formalist study. Here we have a text which is autonomous, but we are not understanding the social context or the meaning. We are simply studying the form of that. After this, the new criticism theories and formalist theories got merged, and a new theory got developed in Russia called Russian formalism by Viktor Slovatsky, Boris Eichenbaum, and few others. These guys, they said that literature is a beautiful play of language, and they divided language in two parts, the primary order language and the secondary order language. Primary order language is the language of daily use, language of communication, while secondary order language is a language which has a meaning, which always depends on the context. Now the first question comes, what is the difference between primary order language and secondary order language? Friends, it's very easy to differentiate. You give a word to someone, like you enter in a bus and the bus conductor says, aage badho, go on, go on. It's not a great message to you because it's a scene of a bus. Have you ever felt that, oh my God, this conductor has given a great message, go on? No. But the teacher says, aage badho, go on. You take it as a great message. So it is just because the language is same, but the contexts are totally different. There are two different contexts. This is how we differentiate between the language of common use and the language of special use. One more thing here they say, that we can differentiate between the language of common use and language of literary use by using the theory called alienation. Make the language very different. For example, we speak Hindi, we talk mummy, papa, bhai, behan, brother, sister. But what if you start using archaic language in English? Thee, thou, me, my. So people, they'll start listening, they'll become very attentive. Why he's using this different language which is not in use now? Or you speak in Sanskrit to your to your people. You say Mata Shri, Pita Shri. All of a sudden a language is changed. So these words now are not in use, they are totally alienated. This is how your people will start listening you, that you have something special to be told. When you study Russian formalism, there is a lot to be studied. I'm just giving the introduction. The parallel term we have is French formalism. And here we have the greatest scholar ever, the Ferdinand de Saussure. Saussure was a Swiss linguist, and he studied that, no doubt, language, literature is related, and literature is the play of language. But a language or a sentence is made of words, and every word has a different meaning. And here he came with his theory of semiotics, semiology, which is called sign, signifier, signified theory. Every sign has a different message, every word has a different message, right? So he simply studied that every word in a various context gives different messages. A literary interpreter has to study this, has to understand this to start studying. I'll make it very simple for all of you. The word serious, S-E-R-I-O-U-S. The word serious, we are very much known to him, known to the word actually. To be serious in the studies is good. To be serious in the hospital is bad. But the word serious is common. This is how you have to understand. Sign, signify, signify. I would love to be serious in my studies, but I would never want to be serious in the hospital. So the word serious in different contexts, context of studies, education, context of hospital, disease, gets a different message. This is how I started studying sign, signify theories. Russian formalism and French formalism got merged, and a new theory got emerged, came in existence, called structuralism. They started studying that language is an interplay of meanings, different type of languages, and it always coordinates with certain other words to create a new message. Here we have to study Levi-Strauss, Roland Barthes, and few more. Simply remember, they use binary opposition, they use myth versus mythemes, then they also started using sign signifier theory and the concept of sign versus symbol. These are the part of structuralism. So when you study these things, make sure that all you have to do is write down the names of the people, those who are related to the theories, then find out the terms they have coined, and the easiest way is to find out the terms, understand them, then mug up, find out the writers. There are 2 or 3 scholarly books like S.J. or The Death of the Author or whatever they have written, the verbal icon, right? Make a list and mug up. Because sometimes it happens that when you go to the exam, you're totally clueless about theories. I know I've not completed the theory because my time doesn't allow me to complete this. Maybe I'll complete it in my next lecture. And after this, we have to go for post-structuralism, deconstruction, reader response, new historicism, and few more like archetypal myths and then the latest theories. Thank you very much, friends. This is Vineet Pandey at your service. God bless you all. Thank you.